Within the statue or high-end collectible world, there are a lot of phrases that are thrown around like crazy. Bro, PM for price, long sold out, day one, and countless more. One of those terms is the word GRAIL. Now, everybody has a different definition of GRAIL, so it's hard for me to judge people that use the word GRAIL in a way that I disagree with. But oh, I'm going to. Now, in my opinion, you can't actually own a GRAIL, because a GRAIL is something that you are actively searching for a long period of time. It cracks me up when I see collectors say that they own like 10 or 20 GRAILs. Now, if you're a follower of the channel, you know I have a few different GRAILs out there. One of them is the Sideshow Pumpkinhead. Another one I finally landed after 2 years of looking. And today we are going to unbox and review that GRAIL, which since I now own it and I've attained it, it is no longer one of my GRAILs. I think I use the word GRAIL too much. That's the whole point. Yeah. Okay. Still filming? As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we are giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Now, it did come in a decent sized box, which is nice considering there were quite a few pieces, but your traditional XM Studios lid and, of course, the foam with the straps. Now, I did buy this secondhand, but it was still packaged excellent. Here is the first layer. As you can see, quite a few parts. You saw me put those together. I did have an injury. I don't even know where I cut my finger, but thankfully I didn't get any blood on the statue. So here are all those parts from the first layer. And then the second layer had ivy, some branches, and the base itself, which is pretty compact. We'll talk about. So here she is, guys. As you can see, we're doing the video in a little bit different order because I wanted a little bit of mystery behind it. But this is XM Studios Poison Ivy statue. Not only that, but this is from their Samurai line, which if you're a regular follower of the channel, you know I'm a big collector of their Samurai line. I now own every single piece or have every single piece on order with the exception of 3. You can check this video out right here that talks a lot more about the Samurai line. And I even recently did a countdown of the pieces that I own. You can check that out right here. Now, the only 3 that I'm missing are the newer Batman, this piece right here. I didn't pre-order the Scarecrow, and I'm kind of rethinking that now. And I didn't get the Harley Quinn. And again, that's my least favorite, but I may go ahead and get that because now I'm almost all in. So I've been seeking this piece for a long time, and she usually goes from 2 to 4 times retail. So I got her about twice retail, which we'll talk about in value a little bit today because we will do an extreme review on this piece. Now I'm going to let you know right now, I think there's some significant issues with this piece, and it blows my mind that it has the asking price it does, but I still love it. She's no longer a GRAIL, she's just a statue in my collection. So this piece is 1/4 scale, meaning a real-life version of her would be 4 times larger, and it's made by a company called XM Studios. Since we're doing stuff out of order, I forgot to turn this on so she could spin around for you guys. You are welcome. I also noticed there's all this dead area right here. I usually just do that for the thumbnail, so let's do that. There we go. Now we're in action. So we're going to do an extreme review on her, and as I said, I'm a little bit disappointed on a lot of the details, specifically with paint and sculpt. But the concept alone is amazing, and I am a big fan. And I've said oftentimes it's very difficult to judge a statue unless you have it in person or you've seen it in person. And most statues, not all, but a good 95% of them look way better in person than they do in pictures or videos. Now I'm going to say this is one of those exceptional ones that doesn't just look better, it looks way better other than those small details that we're going to discuss in paint and sculpt. And I'm extremely happy with my purchase. Kind of as a disclaimer, when you saw that unboxing, as I unboxed each piece, I really wasn't, because I was seeing all those flaws that we're going to see. But there are absolutely a ton of things I love about her, and especially the concept. So let's start the review with that. So Poison Ivy, as you may or may not be aware, is a DC villain, specifically a Batman rival, who can control plants. And they really went all out on this, plus they added that samurai flair that we always talk about during the review of these samurai pieces. The bottom is a vegetation base. You have some grass, and you have some vines and trees. Not only that, but you have the Japanese heritage to kind of insinuate that samurai aspect. You have almost like this lampshade totem pole made out of stone on the right. And then as you move up her, she's in a traditional geisha or geisha outfit. She has the socks with the sandals. By the way, if you do that in real life, you look like a fool. Stop doing it. However, she pulls it off. You see some of the weeds, whether they're coming from her or growing up from the ground, because she kind of lives with the plants and talks to the plants as she controls them. You see the trees with real huge Venus flytrap type plants coming out of it. So this makes her scary and vicious, and it just shows that she controls everything. And then what I love about her is her outfit. Not only does it have kind of that geisha or geisha feel, but it has this plant feel to it as well, not just because of the colors, but on the designs on it we're going to look at closer. In this particular switch out, she has a mask and an umbrella, and she does have a few different display options. Not as many as most of these pieces do from the XM Samurai line, but still enough, and I can't decide which one I'm going to display. Both look phenomenal, especially in person. So I love what they did. I think the concept is phenomenal. They tied in the Poison Ivy character and her powers. She looks beautiful. They typed in the samurai Japanese aspect to it. So I think it's a 5 out of 5 on the concept, and that is one of the many reasons that this is so highly sought after. Now with design, there's definitely some issues with assembly if you're a fool like me. I didn't look at the instructions. This one you need to look at the instructions because everything has to go in a certain order. It was decently easy to figure out where 90% of the parts went, but if you didn't put it in the right order, you had to start all over. That's why you might have seen some major editing in the video. Now, as always, it does come with an art print, which I haven't even looked at yet, but traditionally it's the same pose as the statue. Now, one thing they did do different on this is usually they do the entire statue. Now, this is one of the earlier pieces in the Samurai line. I think it might have been the second or third that was released, but this is still a beautiful picture right here. Nowadays, everything else is pretty much online, but they did include a pretty large instruction book as well. They used to include these in all the XM pieces, so it not only has the instructions on how to assemble, but a little bit of information about the character and the creative process. But like I said, nowadays they do all of that online. So I said there's some different display options. Let's check those out. First, you have two portraits, and they usually do this. One, a more modern portrait, which I really like. And then the more traditional, so kind of the geisha. How do you pronounce it? Put that in the comments below. Her right arm can be holding the umbrella or holding a fan. I think I like the fan better. Her left arm can be holding the mask, which traditionally you'd want to put that with the more modern portrait, but it could work with either. Or just kind of a handout saying, "What's up? Come and get me. My plants will kill you." So you can do any combination of those, and I'll probably keep the display options, the switch outs, close by. I do that with all these Samurai line because I think there's a lot of different good ones and it helps to mix it up. If you want to see what she's going to look like in the collection, make sure to check out the Extreme Instagram, Facebook page, and TikTok. The link is in the description below. Now, most of these Samurai pieces are extremely elaborate, but what I love about this, especially this one, it's such a small footprint. It doesn't take up a lot of room. The widest part of the base is just 10 inches or so. It might stick out a little bit more with the vines and the creatures. The deepest part is a little under that, so 9 to 10 inches. And then the tallest part on Ivy is just under 19 and a half. And then depending how you pose the umbrella, it could be maybe up to 21 inches. So I'm going to put her next to XM Samurai Bane, this piece right here, and hopefully they'll look good together. So I think the design, despite the complicated assembly, works extremely well. I hate to say it, but I think the design is also a 5 out of 5. Now, the biggest problems I saw were in the paint and sculpt. And what's weird is it was more on Ivy, who is the main character, than it was on the other pieces. But check out what I'm talking about. All right, so we'll dive in here and I'm gonna look at the additional switch outs as well. But starting with the base, the grass part looks a little bit mediocre. I think that they definitely had some opportunity there to make it look more like real grass. And the same thing can be said with the vines that are on top of it. A little bit missing sculpt. The petals look nice. That pink color really adds to the statue. And then the branches here that have kind of that moss on them as well. I think a little bit of opportunity within the actual sculpt. So while it looks cool altogether, I think some of that micro detail that we typically see just isn't there. Now on Ivy, you have a few different things going on. So first, you have the vines wrapping up her leg. I think those look fantastic. I think they did a really nice job considering how difficult it is to make them not look plastic. Now they did that. They don't look phenomenal, but they're kind of the best branches I've seen, so I'm really digging that. Not only the ones that come around her leg, but the ones that are actually sculpted onto her leg, and you'll see a significant difference in the green color. Now with so much green in the statue, they did a good job varying it up, which we'll go back to in a second. But here's this pillar. I like it. I think they could have weathered it a little bit more, but I like the dents in it and the tree branches kind of growing around it. And you'll notice on the tree branches, they actually have some spikes as well. I think that looks good. Gives the Venus flytrap mouse kind of a very creepy feeling. It just adds to it through the branches below. And speaking of these, I think they look great. I like the red they used around the mouth and the teeth. The tongue, there's a little bit of a moist effect, but not too much coming out of it. And a nice mix between the brown, greens, and pinks on them. So all those look really cool. Now back to Ivy here again. You know, the paint looks a little messy. You'll see a lot of bleed over where they should have just done a much better job. The socks look good. The sculpt on them does. There's a little bit of damage, not damage, but kind of scratches right there. Obviously due to the vines next to it. I don't know if those are supposed to be attached and they broke. If they are, easy fix. I like the skin color they used. It looks good, clean. You see some pink shading in there for that really flesh tone. Just looks great. Now on her outfit, I really like this. I really like the intricate designs. Again, I like how the green varies it up. The red belt in the middle helps. And some of the vine designs are three-dimensional. Some are actually engraved into the dress. She does have a large rack, if you're into that. The fan looks a little plasticky. I'm okay with that. One of the things I've noticed is on a lot of the hands, the sculpt just isn't the best. There's not a lot of differentiation between the fingers. You can kind of see that here. There's some more bleed over on the other hands we're gonna look at. Specifically on the portraits in the hands, it seems like all the switch outs. Her hair looks fine. It looks more like a hat than hair. I think it's the choice of coloring they used, so I'm not a big fan of that. It looks a little bit better on the other portrait we'll look at. Now on her portrait here, again, great job with the leaves. Looking closely, when I took it out of the box, that's where you'll see some of the bleed over that just doesn't look the best. But I do like this mask look, or painted look on her face. Then again on her hand right here, there's some bleed over with the flesh tones onto the straps. Really quick look at her mask that she holds up. Looks good, a little plastic feel to it. Now here, let me try and focus for you guys. I'm just not digging some of the way this looks. Like I said, it looks very toyish. And here on our other portrait, I like what they did with the green. Not only the eye shadowing and the lips, but if you really look in the skin, it almost seems like there's some additional green shadowing in the rosy cheeks. Now this right here, I don't know if this is a flaw. I don't know if that's meant to be or not. I haven't watched any other videos. I think they did a great job with her hair on this. I like all the strands coming down and the colorization from the kind of lighter red to the darker red. It's kind of an off red. Flowers in the hair look great. But where this is really flawed, like I remember taking it out of the box and looking at this hand here. Some of the sculpt just looks a little funny to me. And kind of hard to pick up on camera, but like where the skin touches over to these gloves, some of the bleed over on the paint. Same thing down here on the neck. This is pretty micro detail, but with XM Studios, I expect a lot more usually. Their paint's usually pretty clean, and again, like I said, this is one of their earlier pieces. So much going on here though, and we're focusing on these micro details, so of course we're gonna find the flaws. But for a piece that commands twice the price of retail, I think we should look at those. But overall, fantastic piece. Some stuff I would like to see differently. So sculpt, I think, is much better than the paint, despite some of the flaws we saw. I'm going to give the sculpt a 4 out of 5. I'm really impressed with the Venus flytrap creatures, her clothing, and I think it could be argued that it's a 3 out of 5. The paint, at best, is a 3 out of 5, especially because of those runoff issues. So I think it's even a weak 3 out of 5. But when you take a few steps back, I think the vibrant colors really pop, and I think it's going to add a lot to this samurai display. Now, while I'm not going to score the value, just kind of for your information, they made 600 of these. And the original price was about $900 US, plus you'd have to pay a couple hundred shipping. As I said, nowadays it goes for 2 to 4 times retail. I got it about twice retail from an awesome seller, Ray. Thank you so much. Fantastic transaction, man. I really appreciate it. And these samurai pieces are like that. Some of these go for 2 to 4 times retail, and some sell for under retail. Speaking of which, that's one thing I like about her. They made her very beautiful and elegant, but they didn't over-sexualize her too much. So I really appreciate that, because I do not like statues that they really over-sexualize the characters. And if that's your thing, that's okay. I just like real skin and real people, even though I don't like to touch people. People often wonder how that works with me and Mrs. X. She's okay, and so are my children. But that's about it. So does she have the X factor? Is she a 5 out of 5 statue? Is she worth 2 times retail? I don't think she's worth 2 times retail. I am so happy that I have her, and I don't think she's a 5 out of 5 statue, but I think XM Studios did a lot of stuff right, and I can see why she goes above retail. But the obsession with her is just kind of crazy, but she's still a solid 4 out of 5 statue in my opinion. Very stoked she's in the collection. I can't wait to see what she looks like. Let me know in the comments below, do you think she's worth the money or not? Or you can comment anything else, but any comment will enter you into possibly winning a statue. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Thanks so guys for tuning in to see that I now have my former Grail, because remember, it's no longer a Grail. Please drop me a like on the way out. That really helps the channel. In the meantime, check out some of these other videos. Tons of cool stuff coming up this month. I really appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon. Take care.